I mean, he truly was. And then Rob Maya says, I got something for you, kid. I'm the defending champion here. You want to win, you're going to earn it. And set him up. Got by him with a great pass out of turn 4. Went into turn 1. And guess who was right there on the bottom side? The 67 of Tanner. They came out of turn 2, and guess who was on the bottom in turn 3? The 37 of Maya. These guys did this lap after lap after lap.
Didn't we just see something last week?
We sure did. We sure did. And I was going back to in my mind. I'm thinking, man, how can these guys do this? I mean, these guys, the talent in the wheel, in the cockpits, these cars.
I talked to Joey today.
Incredible. Well, let's get back to this. Hold on one second. So these guys, back and forth, side by side. And it's one of those deals where Maya, you had to be thinking, man, he's got to be frustrated. He's got the big open motor. He's got all the power you could ever want in a race car. He's got the best equipment money can buy. And there's Joey Tanner in a borrowed car with a crate motor, giving Rob Maya, I mean, every little bit of, I mean, everything he could handle. It had to be frustrating. And then we got into some hardcore racing, and Tanner passes him back. Returned the favorite. I mean, passed him exactly like Maya passed him.
Set him up
2 laps before out of turn 4, dove to the bottom, just bounced them things through the ruts. Just drove it right through the ruts, and I don't think Maya expected that. Joey got the line out of turn 4, passed him, and then started separating himself again from the field, and I started thinking, man, Joey's got 2 for 2. At that point, I probably would have said, this is Joey's race.
Joey.
Until a late race caution put everybody on the backside of Joey, and unfortunately for Tanner, Maya had just enough on the end of the lap, the first lap after the restart. He got him out of turn 4. There was only 4 laps left. He got by Joey. Joey did everything Joey could do.
Right.
I mean, he did everything any driver could do to earn that spot back from Rob Maya. Passing him is a whole lot easier said than done. He is such a talented race car driver. He's collected. He's so calm. I don't think I've ever seen a driver drive with such smooth aggression, if I want to call it that, like Rob Maya does. I mean, the guy can drive a car that looks like it's completely out of control, and he's just in there kind of like, this is what I do. This is, and it's just how he drives, and it is an incredible thing to watch, especially on a racetrack like we had. Maya picked up the win. Tanner was, 4 or 5 car lengths back and second, and Brian Kronk in the 29 was a top 3 car as he edged out, Colin Weinberger for 4th. Jeremy Shank finishing the top 5 in his first appearance at Willamette Speedway with the late model. He pulled double duty, but got a top 5. He was tired after that modified race. An incredible race, and I think that Rob Maya and Joey Tanner have kind of put the foundation for a big-time rivalry this year in 2016. It is going to be fun to watch how these two play out throughout the season. With Joey's coming back in the 111, Rob's got the championship car. Joey's excited about having the big car, the X Factor chassis.
That's what I want to get into.
That being said, we know Joey can drive. We know Rob Maya is a 4-time champion. We know there's no second guessing Rob Maya can drive. Joey's on the verge of being a championship contender. And right behind him in that 3rd place spot is Brian Kronk, who battled Maya for the title last year and didn't lose that championship by a whole bunch. So now you got these 2 younger guys, Tanner and Kronk, Weinberger in the late model. I mean, you got these guys you got to deal with. Rob has got to be thinking, man, and this is what I'm getting at. Okay, in Victory Lane, talking with Rob, I said, hey, let's talk about that last little bit there from when the caution came out and Joey got you. Started to separate. It looked like he was going to kind of drive to victory, and then the caution came out. Did something change in the car? Did you do something different to get by him to pick up that pass for the win? I said, what was going on? And this is what I love about Rob Maya. You ask Rob a question, you're going to get an honest answer.
Right.
Rob looks at me, puts his hands in the air, and says, you know what? Couldn't catch him. I got tired. I mean, on that.
Coming from Rob Maya, that track conditions.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, and Joey, was the first person to Victory Lane to congratulate Rob.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, pouring sweat. Both these guys were just, they were exhausted
and
on that
Joey
track.
Tanner, again, I just saw him today.
But
he's fit. That kid's fit.
He is. He's got a good regimen. He keeps himself in fairly good shape.
That Rockstar he drinks.
Well, that's part of it. But, he comes over and gives Rob, hey man, great race. Give him a hug, shook his hand, said that was awesome. I mean, these guys. He was so happy about Rob winning, and Rob was like, man, I got to give Joey props. That was an incredible race. I mean, Rob knew that wasn't a freebie. That wasn't a gimme. He earned it. But he said honestly, he goes, hey, I just got tired of that long run, and Joey was pulling away, And I think that goes back to, just an age thing. But when it comes down to business time in the last 4 laps, and you give Rob Maya that last little bit of kicky
in the butt. He can see it.
Yeah.
He's going.
And
for
he did it.
He's
there was
like a Wile E. Coyote type deal.
There was a hole down there in the ruts, and like Rob, I don't think Joey thought, he's not going to go down there and try to do it.
Because
Rob did it and returned the favor and drove the win. But it was awesome. I mean, it was a great race. It was. We've had 2 phenomenal weeks to start the season at Willamette, and if this continues all year, I'm probably going to need surgery.
2016.
I'm still trying to get my voice back after,
right,
So it has been awesome. It's been awesome. But our top 5 cars were Maya, Tanner, Cronk, Weinberger, and Schenk. Then you look at the rest of the field. Brian Smith brought the old 40 out, his old bucket of bolts, he calls it, and drove to 7th spot behind Dan Dybel. A couple of teammate type cars there. Koffel, Brewster, Lynn McDonald made his first appearance at a Sweet Home, a veteran driver. He finished in the top 10. Then it went Todd Sieg, Brady Sell, Dave Schmidt, Randy Barley, and Randy Boyd. Boyd was fast, and he's one of those guys on a rough racetrack you just got to contend with. He caught, I think it was the wall in turns 3 and 4. Kind of, upset the race car. He kind of ended his night early, which I expected, he'd be one of those guys in the hunt, because you look at Randy Boyd, and he's one of those guys too that doesn't have to have the best equipment to win a race,
right.
But you put him in those kind of racing conditions where you've got to just go out and go to work, and he's one of those guys you're going to say, you're going to have to worry about him. And unfortunately, it happened early in the race. It was like on lap 10, 5 or 10, he ended up, multiple laps down off the track. But it's one of those deals where track conditions manipulated a lot of what happened, but the race up front between Maya and Tanner was, if I get to see that all year long, I don't care whose number's on the door, I don't care who's in the cockpit, if I get to see racing like that all year long, man, I'm going to be happy.
Well, I talked to Joey and stuff today. I got an opportunity and stuff before I came down here to spend about 5 minutes and stuff with him through passing. And I asked him, I said, how was the weekend? Because I got a little bit of the recap. And he says, I'm ready to get back in the 111. He says he's so great and thankful for, Walters to loan him that car, for the season that he has. He says, but I'm ready for my big motor. And I said, is that because of where you finished? He says, I don't like getting beat. He says, I like my car. Yeah. He says, I like Walter's car. It's good. He says, but that's his car. I'd like to give it, he's done so much for me, and I want to give it back just because, I want to see him back behind the wheel. I want to make sure that he has his racing program and stuff set. He's taken, those 3 races to allow me to be on his racing program, and so I could do mine. He says, we've had a great spot so far. We've contend for the wins. We've got to win. But he's ready to get back into his X Factor 111 with the big motor. He's ready to go. I want to take a huge shout out that both of our tracks and stuff have the Junior Dirt Slingers, right? The Junior Dirt Slingers. I talked to Paul. Paul actually emailed me and stated that as of right now on both tracks have over 130 that have signed up. And now, mind you, this is our first week that happened up there.
Right, your first week.
Your second week, that happened.
An explosion. He didn't anticipate that.
Had no clue. He said he's on this first half of the street. He says with just under half of the run on the shirts this year. He says, please get your kids signed up before all the shirts are gone. As an honor for the ladies night at both speedways, we are going to have adult size for the Junior Dirt Slinger shirts on sale for just $10. Instead of $15, they're on sale for $10. Now, mind you, he just wanted to start out with, just kids' shirts and all that type of stuff. And adults are coming up to him and says, where's mine? We want to be part of this and stuff too. And that's what...
Well, I was going to kind of talk about that when we got to this portion of the show, but I saw so many adults wearing Junior Dirt Slingers Kids Club shirts last week at Willamette, and I thought, wow, this thing has gotten way out of hand. Paul's got to be completely overwhelmed.
It's crazy. He wants to thank Sammy, Luke, and Jerry, for all their hard work last week. He says, going down to Sunset on board. He got into this thing, and he told me last week. He says, I wish I would have just, not to be biased. He says, I wish I would have just started with one track.
Well, I understand.
Now he's like,
he's going to need a staff of 30 before this whole deal's over.
I mean, because he eventually wants, the tracks and stuff taken. But he's loving every bit of what he's doing. He's loving seeing the fans come out. He loves to see everybody on board with this thing. And I don't think that he imagined just in 2 weeks. 2 weeks at your track, 1 week at mine, because, he's at both tracks each night.
Yeah.
He has a crew and stuff that goes to one, and then, of course, he was up here at our opener, and I believe he's coming back down to Willamette next week, but he'll have his crew up here for Sunset for next week. But, he's dedicated. He's ready for it, and he said that it's just fun. It's nice to see these people come in and get involved with it again.
And that's the thing. We've seen so many. So last week at Willamette Speedway, I'm up in the booth, and and I'm as an announcer, people are bringing you notes. Hey, you talk about this or here's
another thing that was crazy.
So yeah, and I know what you're talking about, but a shout out to Brian Thompson, Crocker's Cars, a driver in the Super Sport division, Willamette Speedway. I got a note from Jerry Fonfera, who's helping out. Paul with High Octane and the Junior Kids Club and stuff. Got a note from Jerry stating that Brian Thompson went down to the High Octane Diecast Kid Club, the Junior Kids Dirt Slingers, and purchased 10 memberships to give away that night. So he gave away, he put up $100 of his own money.
So did Brandon Penny.
Just because, to get these kids, there's kids out there that, maybe their parents can't afford it,
right.
And it gives these kids a sense of, I belong to something. This is cool. It piques their interest.
It's great to come back to the track.
You and I all we were in stuff like that growing up, whether it was the kids club or racing karts. We were a part of that. We had something that we felt like we belonged to, and what those guys are doing, and it's giving those kids that, and that is just awesome.
Well, when Paul came up, he was up last week, and he sat there and he was talking about it. Brandon Penny, our sport mod driver,
right.
00, he came up and donated $100 for 10 kids and stuff to have it. And it's cool to see, we give out candy, where our announcer's booth is we're right there.
You guys are in the crowd,
yeah,
right.
We're in the crowd. And that's cool. I'm, high energy and everything else. And I get a lot of that stuff from you. If I have 4 Red Bulls like we did 2 weeks ago at Willamette, then right now, then I was a little crazy. I'll cut down my intake, but it was very entertaining. If you were there, But it's cool, to be a part of that program and to see the kids' faces, look at their shirts that are on. The crowd and stuff that didn't have the shirts, and then all of a sudden, midway through, you see all of these kids, even adults with the white Junior Dirt Slinger shirts. How cool is that? Another cool thing at Sunset Speedway this year is we have selfie deals. What this is that we have 18 spots around the track, and they're little placards, and it says, take a selfie here. If you come to our track, every week, I have a prize, and what I'll do, what it is that if you take a selfie in front of one of these placards and you hashtag it Sunset Speedway Fun, it will go onto Facebook. Halfway through the night, we'll look at it, we'll pick a random person to win, and you can either win a shirt or whatever I want to give you.
Right.
But it's something cool to bring back and say, hey, look, I'm not sitting on the couch, I'm not watching Scooby-Doo, I'm at the racetrack having a bunch of fun. This is what you guys need.
That's a great way to pique your friends' interest on Facebook.
That's right.
Bob's at the races.
Right.
How do I get there?
Where do we go?
I'm going. Yeah, absolutely.
But another cool thing is every Wednesday, and this is a great thing that Sunset Speedway is doing.
Now Willamette's jumping on board.
Wild Wednesday giveaway. Check out the awesome commercial that are that's on Facebook. If you go to Sunset Speedway on Facebook, like us, share us, all that. So this is the deal, people. In order to be eligible for this week's giveaway, you must like and share. And if we get 1,000 shares, we'll give out a huge prize. I'm talking about huge. I'm talking about huge. I'm not talking about some rinky-dink, I'm going to give you a pencil and eraser like you get at the dentist.
Right, yeah.
It's going to be huge. This week's prize is a free grandstand ticket. Tickets to this weekend. A pair of sweet tickets to turn 4 in a 2-seater ride. You must be 18 years old to ride.
So one person is going to get all that.
All that.
A ride in the Finish Line Graphics 2-seater is Sunset.
Finish Line Graphics 2-seater.
All you got to do is share the post.
That's it.